It's Frankie at 96.7 KCAL Rocks. We're at NAMM 2012. Woo, it's some serious feedback. It's Dave Ellefson of Megadeth, and we are at EMG Pickups. How are you doing?
Excellent. How are you?
I'm doing really good.
It's loud here, isn't it?
It's really loud. Luckily, we've got a good mic, so it'll pick us up.
Good. I know your throat's killing you after a while. People jamming and playing all day, so it's good fun, though. You having fun here?
I always have fun at NAMM, especially when I get to run into old friends who I see every year when I'm here.
Nice. That's part of it. Connections, you know?
Exactly. That's why it's easy to go, come on, Dave, get on camera with me. So you've got a lot going on right now.
I do, yeah.
Okay, so I remember a time way back when you were in Megadeth, and then you weren't in Megadeth, and now you've been back in Megadeth for quite a while. How did that come about?
You know, that was a great transition, you know, and in my time away from it, it really kind of was a season of my life where I was able to step out and play with a lot of different people, doing a lot of different types of music. You know, my friend Al Petrelli, who was in Megadeth with me, who's Trans-Siberian Orchestra now, you know, he said to me, he goes, man, just say yes to everything and see how it goes. He goes, once in a while you'll get backed into a corner and you'll like overbook yourself, but he goes, and he was a great, just a friend and, you know, kind of a mentor to me, because I had been in one band in Megadeth, you know, for almost 20 years, and one day it came to an end, and I was kind of like, oh my God, what am I going to do now? So that little season of my life, which is about 8 years, was really a great time of development for me, just musically, personally, professionally. You know, I went to college. I did some things that I would not have been able to do had I just been a full-time, you know, probably a touring musician at that time. So, you know, a time to kind of grow in a lot of ways. So when I came back to Megadeth, I'm still Dave Ellefson, of course, but I came back a much different person and hopefully a little wiser, you know.
I think you had a lot more to offer at that point too with your experience.
It's almost like re-auditioning for your own band, you know. And I read that in a magazine one time that, you know, what kind of a musician would you be if you had to audition for your own band every year? Like if your own band held auditions, would they still hire you? And it was really a cool thing. It makes you think like, okay, am I just taking this for granted? Am I just kind of getting lazy and schlepping through it, or am I spot on? You know,
well, I think that can be said for pretty much any business.
Any business. You know, it's like if you had to go re-interview with your boss every year, would they hire you again? You know what I mean? So that was cool. You know, I felt like when I came back to Megadeth, my chops were really sharp. My passion was there. I was really excited about being back with the fans. It was fun to be playing with Dave and two new guys with Chris and Sean, who I hadn't played with yet. You know, so and now here we are 2 years later, and we've really developed a whole new band. You know, and that's exciting at this point, especially a new band playing those same songs. It's very exciting.
Well, and you guys have had a lot going on. You had the Big Four tour. Right. How is that going for you?
Well, it's great. I mean, look, anytime Metallica calls and wants to do that, we'll do it. It's wonderful, you know, and it's good for. I think Metallica really enjoy it. You know, they seem like, you know, they really were. It wasn't like it was Metallica and three opening bands. They were just one of the four bands. I really admire how they carried themselves with that. You know, so.
I think Megadeth and Metallica have a very similar fan base.
Oh, without a doubt. You know, it's funny. I remember when we were recording Countdown to Extinction, I went down to go see Metallica at the Forum here in L.A. On the Black Album, and I looked around and they played like 3 or 5 nights or something. You know, I'm looking around going, how come there's so many people here to see Metallica? These are the same people that come to us, you know, see our shows. How come they don't come and see our shows? You know, of course, Countdown to Extinction kind of changed that for us and put us kind of in a similar, you know, not as big as Metallica, but in a similar kind of spotlight. So it's just great when that's one of those things where, you know, it's bigger than the four of us. It's like 2 + 2 = 5 when the four of us get together. You know what I mean? It's greater than the sum of its parts, and we're lucky to have that. That's really a blessing, you know, for us, you know, in thrash metal to have something like that's kind of a nice cachet like that.
So now off of that tour, now you're going on Gigantour.
Right.
Which starts next week?
Starts next week, yeah. Yeah, we start in East Coast, and we go up into Canada, some of the Midwest. It's actually very extensive across Canada, and then we come down the West Coast.
You're going to be here in Southern California end of February.
Yeah, I think it's February 24th at Gibson Amphitheater. Yep. Ah, nice. See, I remember these things.
That's good. That's good. It hasn't. All the rock music hasn't phased your memory.
No, it's try to keep my brain sharp. It's good.
So you are headlining this tour, and you got Motorhead coming up right before you, right?
Yep. And then Volbeat and Lacuna Coil. Yeah.
Sounds like a great lineup.
It is a good bill. I think it's really cool. It's it's just, again, I think, and it's kind of cool to go out this time of year when there aren't other tours and things out there that would kind of compete with that. The economies have been tough. I think they seem like they're getting better now, but they've been tough, and people, they don't have the kind of money to just go out now, just go to whatever show I want. So it's nice to put something together, specifically for our fans that can really give them a reason to come out, and hopefully when they go home, their ears are ringing and their necks are sore and they're happy.
Speaking of doing something for the fans, and you got this Gigantour launching next week,
right.
Tell me about this daily survival guide for Gigantour.
I don't. It's funny that was an interview that I did, and it's funny when I saw when it came out. That was the headline, the Daily Survival Guide. And he just asked me what I do, and I, for the most part, I kind of laid out what my daily routine is, and much like I guess probably a professional athlete, for me, I've focused my entire day around when our show is. So I can, for instance, if we go on at, I think 9:30-ish every night, my whole day of when I wake up, what I eat, exercise, what time I exercise, that whole, how much I talk, because like here, my throat's killing me, how much I talk to save myself from being able to sing on stage, all that stuff goes into the consideration to focus, to pinpoint right to that, 75, 80 minutes that we're going to be on stage, because that's
where all your energy
that's
needs
what the
to
fans come to see, and for me, that's the highlight of the day. Signing autographs and hanging out, that's fun, it's cool hang, but I'm playing my bass for that period of time. It's like, I'll do that for free. I don't care.
Yeah.
It's like, get paid for the other 23 hours of the day. That hour that we get to be on stage playing, that hour goes by so fast because we're just.
It's like when I'm on the air. That's not a job. It doesn't feel like a job.
I know people talk about work and a job, and it's like, it could hardly be called work. You know what I mean? There's work. It's obviously there's an effort put into it, but. Yeah, when it's kind of the do it you love,
What do you like best, the live performing, or do you like the recording process?
Both, because they both are really different. I think when you've been doing it a while, you tend to approach them both different, After we'd been on the road for a year or so, to come off of that and then go in the studio and make the 13 album, which we just did, we brought a lot of that road energy into the album, which was a lot of urgency, but you go in prepared different, you're listening different, you're building something, so you go into it, I think, with that mindset, as opposed to the road, you are also building a show and you're preparing. One is a recorded performance, one is a live in the moment performance, and when you're preparing for a live show, you're creating moments that people will remember. People aren't going to remember all 80 minutes of your show. They're going to remember moments. They'll probably remember the beginning and the end, and then there's pieces in between, whether it's a song, a solo, an interaction. So those are the things, I think, when you're creating a live show, that you try to give your audience those special kind of takeaway moments that they go home with and forever they'll remember. Yeah.
And now this album 13 kind of has special meaning for Dave Mustaine. Was 13 when he picked up a guitar, and it's his 13th album. So now that you're back playing with him again, is he a different Dave Mustaine than he was back in the old days?
Dave's Dave, and that's what we love about him. There's a consistency about him, man, that has just been unwavering from the day I met him, and that's kind of the thread that is throughout his whole life. Now,
he always had that bad boy persona,
Well, and now to that side, Dave's a little older, a little wiser, and he turned 50 the week of Yankee Stadium. I'm thinking, and I tell him, I go, man, what an awesome birthday present to play to 60,000 of your fans on your birthday, or I guess it was the day after, but it was like, what an awesome, I hope my 50th lands on a stadium date. You know what I mean? What a great celebration. But So yeah, there's a lot about Dave where he's just kind of calmed down and mellowed out, and that's cool. You know, that, and he and I, we've been through a lot, and that's, I think, what experience gives you, is you don't get so riled up over things. You kind of go, well, I've seen this before, you know, and you're able to kind of cruise through it. So Dave's really, you know, a lot of just wisdom and experience through his life, you know, just that life that he's lived, you know. So
don't you wish it was like, I wish I knew then what I know now? Things would have been really a lot easier.
It's always like that, you know. Sometimes when I play Hangar 18, I go, why did I create this bass line? Why didn't I play something simpler? You know what I mean? Because it's, when you're in Rust in Peace, you know, we're just shredding and, you know, really going to the mat on it, and it's like, you know, who knew 20 years later we'd be playing all that stuff again, you know. But that's part of the challenge too, is to rise up and to really, you know, we're not a jammy ad-lib kind of band. We're very much, you know, played the songs exactly. Because I remember going to shows as a kid, you know, as a teenager, and I wanted to hear it exactly the way it was, you know. And when they started noodling or goofing off, I was like, it kind of cool, you know, it kind of killed the moment. You know, in jazz music, there's a lot of that ad-lib, but in rock and roll, man, I want it the way I
kind of
heard
feel
it.
that way too.
Yeah.
Unless it's like a remake, someone's remade it and
Sure.
they kind of put their twist on it.
Yeah,
But
right.
yeah, when you go to a show, you kind of want to hear what you bought on the record.
Yeah, I want to hear, man, especially if it's some really and simple things. Sometimes it isn't just all the noodling. It's like a bend or some really simple nuance that just creates, you know, those your hair stands on end moments. You know what I mean? And when those come across live, it's really it's a great experience. You know, that's one of those moments. It's that connection for the band and the audience.
Well, since we are at NAMM, it's like the world's largest candy store for musicians.
Pretty much.
Why don't you tell me why you're at EMG and some of the other products that you endorse?
I've been using EMG pickups for a lot of years. I've used various things for different applications, but when it comes to, especially for the tone I need in Megadeth and in my new Jackson basses, the EMG has got a great bottom end to it and a nice kind of top end clarity. I play with a pick, so there's a clarity there that really cuts through the guitars with a nice kind of punch. I kind of look at it like when Sean hits his kick drum and you hear the cannon, you know, the thunderous cannon of the kick, the EMG provides that note of the bass that follows behind it, you know? And so I just find that the EMG thing, especially on these new Jackson basses, and it just really kind of sits right in the pocket for me.
That's good, and that's where you get that great Megadeth sound.
Thank you.
Well, good luck on Gigantour,
Yes,
and
thanks,
definitely you guys will be here on February 24th, Gibson Amphitheater in Southern California. But for anybody who's watching this anywhere, check the Megadeth websites, megadeth.com,
Megadeth.com,
for all the tour dates for Gigantour. Thanks, Dave Ellefson.
You're welcome. Thank you. Always good to see you.